Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. I wanted to do a second video to support us on the weekly astrology forecast and also to just support us in navigating 2025 and 2026. This video is on the conjunction between Neptune and Saturn. This actually became operational March 3rd this year. That's when they moved in an 8-degree orb. They moved within an 8-degree orb of each other, which is a loose conjunction, which means they're already starting to talk to each other in March. We have the energy coming to an apex this week. The 15th to the 17th, they're going to be as close to exact as they're going to get within minutes, 12 minutes apart. That's super, super, super tight, but not exact conjunction. The exact conjunction is in February 2026. So this week, we're going to be getting a download, a snapshot about the energies that we're working with. And there's a lot going on here. So first I wanted to kind of dive a little bit more deeply into the Saturn Neptune theme, but then also link it to all the outer planets, because Saturn's actually active in the minor triangle. That's another significant aspect for this year. But first, let's think about the energies of Neptune and Saturn, and they can be seemingly a little bit opposite on their surface. Saturn is the planet of contraction. Saturn is the planet of putting the brakes on things and putting boundaries around things. Neptune is the planet of dissolving boundaries, moving beyond delusion and illusion. Neptune is the planet of magnetism and magic, and the Saturn is a very sort of 3D planet. But I also wanted to kind of offer a way that these two can be extra magical when they work together. And here's why. I think they're both about karma. Saturn is definitely about karma. Saturn is about the karmic contraction of making sure that everything that we're operationalizing in our world, that we're seeking to ground down, is able to be sustained, is ready to be received the proper foundation. 3D karma. I'm going to offer Neptune as 5D karma. Pluto's also 5D karma, but Neptune, planet of illusion and delusion, is helping us to see beyond the 3D veil of what we have in the past just simply taken on its face as true. Neptune to me is very like Wizard of Oz, pull the curtain, and the guy with the big booing voice is the little leprechaun guy in the back with a big speaker, right? I mean, that's one way to think about it. But together, when they work together, this means that we have higher energies, higher levels of consciousness. Neptunian energy, similar to Uranian and Plutonian, subtle energy, lifts us up and out of the 3D world, all three of them. But Neptune in particular is about our third eye. It's about our intuitive knowing, and it's about these downloads and realizations of what is actually true. And Neptune reminds us that this physical world is so much more than what we understand. So to have these two conjunct, I would offer, is extra super fortunate for this year, for that precise reason of what we're going through this year, with all the outer planets changing signs, Saturn and Jupiter changing signs. We've never really experienced this. I've said that a lot. And now I also want to get to something else that's taking place now. It's really operational August through December. It's a minor triangle. And I've mentioned in my podcast a couple times that Pluto and Uranus and Neptune have been positively aspecting each other for a little bit of time now. They're coming into an almost exact triangle. And well, let me pause there to just put a pin in the conjunction first. Okay, so lifting us up and out of the limitations that we think that we have. This week, download about something about that. We get to work with that energy and really get ready to meet that exact conjunction in February 2026. So watch what comes on your radar this week. There's a lot of potential. This is about the potential of human consciousness. This is about the potential of interconnectedness. This is about lifting us up and out of the physical limitations that we take to be true. All right, let's close that chapter before I open the next chapter, which is this minor triangle and the fact that it's not just those three outer planets. Saturn's in the mix too because of this conjunction. So the minor triangle is that it's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and a minor triangle is basically when there's a sextile and a trine. And so Neptune's sextiling Uranus and Pluto, while Uranus and Pluto are trining each other. They're very supportive energies, they're supportive configurations. They're known to be more active than a grand trine. So I find astrology very interesting because a lot of the stuff that we think matters less, in my experience, as I get to know this stuff more and more, matters more. I like to say the outer planets always win. A lot of people pay attention to the Mercury retrograde versus the other types of retrogrades, and it's because Mercury is very easy to spot in the 3D world, while the other subtle energies, you have to put out your spidey senses to really feel what those things mean. But I would offer that they play an even more important role. Same thing with this minor triangle compared to a grand trine. Minor triangles are more active and the energy is channeled through the apex planet. So this case, it's Neptune in Aries, conjunct Saturn right now. So it's not just Neptune in Aries. It's Neptune and Saturn. Neptune snuggled up next to Saturn in Aries. So we're going to explore a little bit about what that would mean. So Pluto and Uranus are in air signs, and these are going to serve as the bottom parts of the triangle, the supporting pillars that are going to help us with our breakthroughs, help us with our downloads, help us with our information and our communication. It's also a little bit about that technology because it's Pluto and Uranus. And these are also going to support the kind of the birth energy of Neptune in Aries. Aries is the I am sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. So Neptune in Aries is potentially bringing about new understandings of why we're here. And to have it conjunct Saturn, I hope that you can sense how perfect this is, because the three outer planets, very nebulous, very 5D. But then, I think sometimes a lot of what humanity has struggled with in the past is we get these clear sense energetic hits. And then we got to go to the grocery store and we got to wash our clothes and we got to put food on the table. And how do I connect this to this? The conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. Do you see how perfect that is? So we've got all this higher level downloads, all this more subtle energy, nebulous energy, still true, very, very, very much true, but not, knock on wood, we can see it and touch it and feel it and taste it and smell it right now. So the apex planet is the one that's getting the downloads. It's Neptune in Aries. And so this is about our moving beyond the limitations of the 3D world. But Saturn is there, super duper helpful for us so that we can trust that we're probably going to feel. I mentioned before that, especially right now, because Saturn's kind of, well, they're pretty, but Saturn's like a heartbeat in front of Neptune right now in terms of our experience. It's not going to be the case later on this year necessarily. I'll get to why in a second, but it can feel a little contracting with Saturn hitting an aspect first, and then Neptune comes right behind it and like opens a side door, opens an extra passage chute, pulls a curtain off, helps us tap into something that we didn't even know was right there under our nose. So this is exciting stuff, guys. And this week is when I think it's really going to kick off, and it's going to be active throughout the remainder of this year and into 2026, and it's going to be extra exact in February, but then it's still going to be felt for a fair amount of February as well. But the peaks are this week and February. So let's also really kind of touch on retrograde energy, because Saturn and Neptune and Pluto are all already retrograde or pretty close to it. Well, as I record this, they're all retrograde. Saturn turns retrograde on July 13th. It's going to be retrograde until November 2nd this year. Neptune turned retrograde on the 4th of July, and it's going to be, thank you, Mick Jagger. It's going to be active until December 12th this year. And then Pluto turned retrograde on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and it's going to be active until October 14th this year. So we've got 3 planets, if not more in a little bit, but right now we're starting to feel the retrograde energy. Review, revise, rewrite, review, go back over, look within and look at things again for what might be right there for us to see. Have you ever read a book and then however much time passes, you come back and you read it again, or watched a movie and because your consciousness is different, the things in my experience, the things that I glean, that I take away from anything that I'm reading or experiencing, it's often very different. So part of the magic of this retrograde energy that's starting to come online right now is going to be supporting us in, like, it, you know, we've got Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries. Aries is Mars. Aries is charged forward, but retrograde is not necessarily charged forward into reviewing. Sit down and tune the I am focus of Aries on ourselves. And this week is going to be something that's going to give us some themes that we're going to be able to work with really from August to December, but from now until these retrogrades stop being retrogrades. So that's what's also going to mean that Neptune and Saturn are as close as they're going to get, and then they're turning backwards, going at a different speed. So they're going to kind of get a little further away, and then they're going to go forward, and they're going to meet again at an exact conjunction in February 2026. Okay, I hope that's helpful. If there's any theme that I would, kind of just want to put a stamp on, it's what I said, which is about this idea of higher levels of consciousness, subtle energy, 5D energy, helping us lift ourselves up and out of what's happening in the 3D world. Such a blessing at this time on our planet. I'm grateful for you. Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful summer and fall in 2020.